Hi everyone. Welcome to our Day 1 lesson on similar figures. Please open up your binder to your Critical Concepts section and find your S page and write this definition for similar figures. Similar figures are figures that are the same shape but not equal size. They are not the same size. All right, let's take a look at two quadrilaterals that are similar. If two figures are similar, the corresponding angles have the same measure. Now, corresponding means that those angles are in the same position, but in the different figures. So we're going to mark our corresponding angles with arc marks. Okay, angle A is in the top left position of our large quadrilateral, and its corresponding angle in the small is angle K. Notice that I put an arc mark through angle A and angle K. Please make sure that you do the same on your figures. Okay, now I'm going to double arc angle B, and that corresponds with angle L. So I'll put a double arc there. Okay, I'm going to move on to angle C, and you guessed it, I'm going to triple arc mark that angle and its corresponding angle in the small figure, angle M. And last but not least, we're going to put 4 arc marks on angle D and its corresponding angle, angle N. Now we want to keep in mind that corresponding angles of similar figures have the same measure. That means if we took out a protractor and measured, those angles would be equal in measure to each other. We have a fancy word for that. You've probably heard of it. It's called congruent. Okay, so let's take a look at these two similar figures that have some measurements inside of them. Underneath our large figure, it tells us the measure of angle A. That small m next to the angle symbol means measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle K. That's because we know that these guys are corresponding. Okay, they're also telling us that the measure of angle D is equal to the measure of which angle? So we're going to look at angle D and find its corresponding piece. And you guessed it, measure of angle D is equal to the measure of angle N, its corresponding piece. Okay, we also know that if the measure of angle A is given to us, which it is, we know it's 60 degrees. Then we know the measure of angle K, its corresponding piece, will also be 60 degrees. And last but not least, since they're telling us that the measure of angle L is 75 degrees, then we know that the measure of its corresponding angle, B, will also be 75 degrees. Okay, so we've discussed corresponding angles of similar figures, but corresponding sides of similar figures also have a special relationship. If two figures are similar, their corresponding sides have lengths that are in proportion to each other. Okay, so underneath our figures, we've got some proportions set up, and we're going to fill in the corresponding sides. Now remember that corresponding means that corresponding are the pieces that have the same position in the different figures. Okay, so I'm going to start looking at side AB, and that side corresponds with side KL on my smaller figure. So AB and KL are corresponding, and we'll put them together in our proportion statement. Okay, then the next side is BC is going to correspond with LM. You can see that I'm color coding these so that we can visually see which ones are corresponding. Okay, side CD is next in my proportion statement, and that's going to match up with MN. And you might be noticing that if I start with C and go to D, then I'm going to start with C on the figure and go to D. I'm making sure that I do the same exact direction in my smaller figure. So I would not want to say that CD corresponds to NM. That would be incorrect. Okay, and last but not least, we're looking at side AD. Now I'm starting here at the top and going from A to D. Remember, that means I wanted to start in the same position and move in the same direction when I'm naming the corresponding piece. So that's going to correspond with side KN in my smaller figure. Okay, and this right here is what's called a proportion statement about the sides of our similar figure. Okay, we're going to go ahead and write a proportion statement about a different set of similar figures. And sometimes it will help if our figures don't look similar, but they're telling us that they are. It can sometimes help to turn our figure so that they do look similar. So I've gone ahead and turned my smaller figure so that it looks more like my large figure. And I would encourage you to sketch the smaller figure turned in this way. And then we'll go ahead and write our statement. Okay, I like to start at the top left just like when I'm reading a page. And I'm going to start with PQ. Okay, so I'm going to put that right here. And I know that I'm going to start in the same and move in the same direction on my smaller figure. PQ is going to correspond to GD. All right, now I'm going to go from QR, and I'll write that here, and find its corresponding piece on the small figure. I'm sure you can guess which one it is. It's not even a guess, I'm sure you know. That corresponds to DE. Okay, then on my large figure, I'm going to go from R to S, and that's going to correspond with EF. And last but not least, SP is going to correspond with FG. Done. Okay, now we're going to shift gears just a little bit, and we are going to work on naming similar figures. We have a specific symbol that means is similar to, and it looks like a sideways S, or if you take Spanish, it looks like a tilde symbol. And in math, that symbol means is similar to. Now, when you name similar figures, please make sure that you start in the same spot and keep those letters in order. It does not matter where you start, so you can see that I've started naming the large figure, and I started at P and moved in this direction, P to Q to R to S. Now when I name its similar figure, the smaller one, I want to start in that same spot and move in that same direction when I'm naming my letters. So I'm going to name my smaller figure E, F, G, D. Okay, I really want to make sure that the corresponding pieces are in the same position. What I mean by that is I know that P corresponds with E. And when I name that figure, if P is the first letter in my name, then E should be the first letter in my name of the smaller figure. Since Q is second in my name, then its corresponding match F must be second in my name, etc. Okay, at this time, I would like you to try to write a mathematical statement about these figures, and I'm going to give you a little hint. You can tell that these figures, even though I'm telling you they are similar, they don't look the same, and so you may have to redraw. Imagine this figure turning in your mind so it matches the other. Please pause your video at this time and write your statement. All right, take a look at my similarity statement. I said that quadrilateral JKLM is similar to, and when I turned my figure, if I start in the bottom left, which I did, you do not have to, but I did, so then I have to start where the bottom left would be, and if I turn my figure, that would be WUVT. Now, your statement does not need to look identical to mine. However, we do need to make sure that J matches up with W. So whatever position, 1, 2, 3, or 4, that your J is in, your W should be in that same position on the other side. Okay? Wherever your K is, the U needs to match up with it. Wherever your L is, the V needs to match up with it. And wherever your M is, it needs to correspond with the T. All right, here we have two right triangles that are similar. We're going to go ahead and write a similarity statement about them. I'm going to start here at the right angle and go up and then down towards my center point. So I'm going to say MPK is similar to, and on my other figure I must start at the right angle and I'm going to go up and then to the center to make sure I'm in order. So MPK is similar to LNK. Done. Okay, last one here. We've got two rectangles and one rectangle is inside of the other. So here's our first rectangle. Okay, and I'm going to start here when I name it at angle T. This time I'm going to move in a different direction. So I'm going to say TQSW. So you can see the direction I moved here. All right, and my other rectangle is actually the largest rectangle. Okay, so I outlined that in blue so you can see that other rectangle. My first guy that I traced in purple is going to be similar to, again, starting in the same position. I'm going to start at T and move in that same direction. So we'll be similar to T, Q, Z, Y. Done. Go complete your checkpoint questions and check in with your teacher to get your homework. Have a great day.